Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. We have got some extra people in more people in our installment program. Want to welcome you. Quite a number of you joined within the last week. I hope you enjoy these videos, and I hope they're helping you in whatever you're doing. So what I will do for those who are in the installment program is, if you having difficulties understanding, or whatever you can't find that is really, really troublesome for you, send me a Skype message over this weekend with what your difficulties. I would like your feedback, and I'll see how I can change it or put it a little more detailed for you so that it's easy for you to understand, right? Sorry for that. I might cough once in a while because I think I'm getting a cold, and I might not be able to mute in time, so you excuse me in advance for that, so I don't have to stop every time. And let's go. So because on Friday or Saturday when I did these webinars, we didn't have enough information on them for anything to be, in a lot of charts, they were just consolidating, and they're still in the phase of consolidation. I might also make this public on YouTube today so that traders could see the development that happened, because I explained to them what I think should happen. And basically, that is what happened. So they can see the development of the patterns and why we didn't have any trade set up as such, because it just went up and down, and where we are and what we think it's going to do, right? So I might ask Victor to make this public, which means I might not put all the details in. That will go for the trading room. And let's go. So let's start with the dollar index. Dollar index. We had this, let me go back to the hourly. Yeah, we had this sharp move up, and I said we'd be careful if we can get a running flat, which means we will be looking at either this running flat, which I think is gone. That might be a smaller one there. We might get this running flat. The possibility of this. If it is ending here, we're going to go back up, make a new high, and from that new high, anything is possible, which means we can go right down back to make a new low on the daily. Let me show you that on the daily. Right, if you look at this daily up move, this is just a daily correction, right? Let me show you a similar correction here. Here's one. See this? This was a running flat. See the strength of which this came, and then they went back, right? So you would see the similar thing in any move. Corrections, corrections, corrections. So if this correction is finished here, which means it can go slightly above that top again once more on the hourly, you wouldn't even see it on the daily, and then we can come back and retest this low. So there is a possibility for a big move down here. That is one possibility if we see the turning point, right? If it starts to turn, that is one. The second one is, what if it's a contracting flat? We are not going to break the low. We're just going to go back up to the top to break the top. And this becomes a contracting flat, because this move is sharp enough to be the impulse that is equivalent to this. Very often they will break the low. Sometimes they don't. Silver did that last year and really throw me out of thing because of that. So what if this is going to continue to go back to the top here? Well, then we have got one correction here. You will get smaller correction, then you will get a bigger correction like this. See this? You get small correction, small correction, small correction, small, and then you get a bigger correction like this, and then drop. Something like that might play out. So we haven't had a big correction. This is the bigger one. What we have is a small one. So maybe we are going to start to see a lot of small corrections going up, and we'll just trade each one as we go until you get a bigger one, and then way to the top. But if it's going to turn, any turning point, we'll have to take off the trade and expect it to come back down. I think once it moves away from this zone, I mean, within the halfway point of these moves, right? Once we go that much up, we'd assume we're going up. We would probably be confirming the upside as a contracting flat. If we get a deeper correction that goes after this impulse, if we get a deeper correction, that would also confirm the upside. So we'll see. We'll probably know that this week, because we're at the top of this consolidation here. And if this impulse, this hourly impulse, gets much bigger, it means we're going to go up totally. So what do we look for? I still think we're going to get this one. I still think this is possible as a running flat. Not necessary, but it looks very much like, because we have a consolidation here, we have consolidation here. So it's possible you get this, and then they make the final wave up, break the top, and then come back down. So when we break the top, any flag we get, we'll buy. For a reversal, you need a sharp impulse down, a correction, and then we can sell. So for now, we're looking for buy setups. So do we have a buy setup on this? Well, we don't really have a buy setup unless we get a flag. So a flag would be this. If we get a flag here now, and I think we're making a flag here now, we'll get a trade to the upside. break the top, we'll move that trade into profit, and then we'll wait to see what happens. Is that trade coming back to take us out and make a sharp impulse down, or does it continue to go with another flag? Any other flag is another buy setup, right? So we will need a flag here. We really don't have one as yet. You're probably getting a small running flat in the 15 minutes. We will trade that in the trading room. We don't take those trades in here, right? But in any case, this is just my views of what I think the chart is going to do. These are not trade calls. So let's see if this is going to drop one more lower. Let's say this intend to drop one more lower. We will not get the buy, which means we will not get a flag for the upside. It's going to come down back, and then we will take the sell. We'll take the sell, assuming that they can do this and go back up. But if it keeps going down, we will be in the sell. Let's just make an assumption that this is a standalone correction. It's sharp, but it has 3 waves in it. If it's a standalone correction, then this could totally fall, and this might be the start of the downside. Right? So those are the possibilities of how this chart could behave. It goes down from here, it makes a new high, then go down, or it makes a new high and continue to go. Each one will follow with a certain patterns in the chart, and that is what we look for. These patterns that tell us this is what it's likely going to do next. So if we get a flag, we're buying. If they drop, we're selling. Very simple. We will sell beyond this pattern. If this turns out to be the flat, we will sell here. If we get a flag here, we're going to buy for break of the top. That's it. As for now, that is what you need to focus on. Gold made an up move, and we're really watching it for the possibility of this being a running flat. And this coming back down, make a new low. If we're wrong about that, and this is a channel, this whole piece here is just a channel, and we're breaking out of the channel, then the consolidation that is happening here becomes a buy setup. Right? So if this crawls down slowly like this, we will only sell somewhere here when we get a flag. That would be the sell. But you can put the buy order here right now. If this goes up, we will be in the buy. So as of right now, for my trader in our trading room, we would put an entry order to buy. Now, this is a webinar where I just give my views of direction. I'm not making a trade call, so I'm not going to give you stops, entries, and all of that, and strategies as to how we trade it, right? But I can tell you that we would have an entry order here for the buy. Which means if this proves to be a flat here for upside, we would be in that trade, because that might be the start of the big move to the upside, which means dollar index will turn and drop, right? For this to go up, dollar index has to go down. So if this is going to continue to go up, we will be in that trade. This would be 1, 2, 3. Watch that running flat. Go back and check my webinar in that period of time. I was telling you we were expecting it to make a running flat. Right now, that running flat, if it is a running flat for upside, is completed. If it is a running flat for downside, which means this is going to continue to go down, we will get the trade on the drop, on the 1 hour. I explained that again, on the drop, and then a flag. Right now, this is more of an upside. Can it crawl down? Of course. No more details on how we look at that, right? Silver. Silver, on the other hand, could come back here. I think silver is likely going to come back here. We're waiting for a consolidation here. I just explained to my traders that in that piece there is going to make a small running flat on the 15 minutes, after which we will probably come here. And from this point, you have this flat in the middle. So that flat could make one more up move, which is very likely. In all means, you get that. And from this point, you can either go down back or you can go up continuously. This would be your first impulse. This would be the correction. You can totally go up, or you can stop above the top and come back down. Both of those are possible in a turning point. You don't know which one is a turning point. Most times you don't get a big flat at the bottom if you're going up, but it could happen. It happened here. See, you got a very deep flat and a big flat, although you were coming downwards. See, so if this is repeating the same thing here with a flat like this, we could go up. Most times this just turned out to be a correction for downside. So we're going to trade this down. We're going to watch it at this level. We will trade it up if it turns. If it turns, we're not guaranteed it turn, but we don't care. If I'm in the sell and it falls, good for me, right? If it starts to turn, I'm aware that that is possible. So I'll move my stops, get out of that trade, look for a buy setup. When it breaks the stop, move my stops. Either it takes me out on the downside and we look for a sell, or it continues to go and we are still in the trade. Very simple. Now, it's easier said than done. Right? What I explained to you is now you have to know what we look for in the trade, what are the entry points, what are the stop, where is all the money management is, how you manage the trades themselves and all of that. But that is the plan. That's just a general plan. Let's go. Euro. Euro, yesterday we were looking for two possibilities. A small correction for probably a running flat here, which is already out, that's negated, or the bigger running flat like this, right? And a new low. So do we have a sell setup? No, we don't. We actually have a buy setup. If you take this out, you can put an entry for a buy there, which means this could still go back up. But if there is a flat at the top here for the downside, the only time we can get this sell is when this makes a small flag. Any small flag here becomes a sell setup for us. I think we'll get a small flag and it could be a sell. And then we'll come back with this running flat in play. So let's see which one out of those two options. That buy, we will put that buy right now. If it continues to go down, you will not be triggered by that buy. But if it turns and it makes a sudden move up, that's the only time you'll be triggered by the buy. Once you're triggered, you have to start managing your trades. Where is the target to the upside? That's an open target for now. If it is a correction for downside, you will get 1, 2, 3, and then downside, most likely the 270. If not, and we are going up totally, it could make a very sharp spike. Another flag can keep going up. Can they go back up? Same thing. We have a possibility for a downside, right? We have a possibility for an upside here. Tag that top and then go down. A very similar pattern that you have on the dollar index on the weekly. Very, very similar pattern. You have an up move, you have a consolidation, and you're getting an up move. Is it going to stop here for a contracting flat and go down? Or is it going to go break the top, make a regular flat, and then go down? That's the only piece we have to look at now, right? This piece, this is all the decision before we get that big move down. Is it going to go up or is it going to continue to go down? This big move is about to come. And if you don't want to miss it, you want to learn how to trade it, you want to make sure you're getting all of this to the downside, well then, you can join us. And then you learn how to do that. So we're looking at this piece. If it goes back up, we will definitely be in the buy. But if it is going down, we'll have to wait for a sell setup. We don't have a sell setup. All you have is a few sharp moves, no sell setup. These few sharp moves can be more of a buy setup rather than a sell. Let's see what happens here, and then we'll get the sell setup. Pung has a sell setup, and some of my traders should be in the trade already. This was a clear sell setup here, and we are expecting it to come here at this point, breakthrough. I don't think they're going to go back up. There's no reason for us to even think they're going to go back up, but they can break through and come to about this low. Now, when they break that low, you have to be very careful. See this? We have divergence. See divergence in play here? And you're likely going to have divergence here. That means it can go back up to the top. Or they will break through this and this divergence will go away. It's going to drop. The MACD is going to follow the candles very strong because we're in this structure. And just in case you're wondering, remember what I said, you can buy this, you can buy that until you get to about the top of that structure. And once they get there, you have to be very, very careful. Go back and look at those webinars, because from there, they can make a sharp move down. And I showed you this sharp move, I showed you this sharp move, and I tell you we were expecting this one. So are we getting this one? If we're getting that one, we will be in this trade and we can drop through that pattern. Maybe drop through, make a bigger correction here, and then go again. And this is the one I'm keen on, because after this, we're definitely going up. Right? Once that flat, if that flat proves to be what I think it is, a running flat, we're going to go up one more at least to the upside. We might or might not break that up. If I'm wrong about that, this one will either go from here and we will still be in this structure. So if it's going to go up, the buys are going to be miserable because the sharp moves down are okay. It's the upside that is the problem. See? It's the up move that is the problem. If you get a piece of that, you'll be lucky. I don't think we're going to turn here and start to go up very fast. We'll turn here and start to do this. So we will still be within that structure. So what if it breaks through? Good. Expect this. That is one. Why you want to sell? Well, what if I'm wrong about that and it's not making that flat, and that flat is actually this piece? And this is what we call a squeeze to the upside. an AB squeeze pattern with divergence in play here. I'm pretty sure we have divergence there. Let's see. Yes, we do. See? You know you have divergence because this squeeze always shows divergence. So what that means that this is going to come back and retest the low. And this here becomes your big flat. 1, 2, 3. And you come back all the way here. So do we want the sell? Of course. You try to get the sell as high as possible so you can put it to break even. If you're in the trade already, great. If you're not in the trade, wait for another flag. As a matter of fact, we're making another one. That's a small one. Yeah, you probably get only small flags going down. Or wait for a bigger one. Wait for it to break this structure. Once they break out of this, they will make a flag somewhere here or somewhere here. And that would be the one you can take to the downside. Once it breaks the low, you better get it to break even because this is the reversal point. If it breaks through, congratulations, you're in a good trade. You can keep that trade for a longer period. But if they go back from here, we will start to look for buy setups once we are out of the sell. See? How you're going to move your stops, how you're going to manage trade, all of that is for our trading room. Right now, we are in the trading room. The traders are here. So as soon as this webinar is over, we're going to start looking at trades and take setups. Some traders are trading already. Aussie. If you remember, I told you this is what we call a running flat forming pattern. They will come back here. You will get 1, 2, 3, and depend on the depth of this. Go back and watch that webinar. Depends on the depth of this. I will tell you whether we're going to go up or whether we're going to go down. If they come very deep, we will come back up, but then we're going to go down because that's how these patterns develop. Watch that webinar again. You'll probably learn something. So this, do we have a sell? Yes. We were looking at a sell this morning in the Asian session to put an entry there for a sell in this one because we wanted 2 hours consolidation, which we have. Right? That was all we needed for a sell setup in the Asian session. So my traders should be in that sell. If they're not in, they have time to get in. Where we expect this to go. Again, we have divergence. Divergence is never the end of the move. When it breaks the low, that's when we'll be careful. It could go back up, or they will make flag and drop, and this is just going to continue to grow and get bigger. Bigger picture, this doesn't have anything like the euro and the dollar index. We are not, this is a single move of its own. So we're not expecting to match it. It's not in a flat pattern like the dollar, even on the daily. It's not in some kind of a pattern like the dollar. This is all by itself coming down as a single impulse. Can that be a very, very deep correction? Of course. It can be the first impulse of a deep correction. So they can come very deep, go back up, come back here, and then take off. Right? I think this is the first move of a bigger impulse. Is there a chance of them returning to the low? There is a slight chance of that. I don't think it's even going to happen. I don't see that possibility. I think mostly we're going to just be in a very big correction here. Just like the euro is making that big correction, we would be in a big correction somewhere here before we go up. So you can sell. I think even if euro is going to make a new high, this one would go up as a corrective structure. So let's suppose we break this low here and it starts to go up. Euro has an impulse to the upside, but this one is going to have a corrective structure going up. Euro on the downside has an impulse. This one would come back down with euro as an impulse. See? So on the upside, you will actually want to trade the euro dollar. On the downside, you want to trade this if they're going to come. But the downside, both of them are very sharp. So if they go, it's a sharp move. That's what you get, right? So right now we're in this one. And there is a sell setup for us. I don't know how you guys to trade and what's your strategy. That will depend on you. But as far as I'm concerned, this would come and break the low. Now, is this the move that will come and break the low? Most likely, because this move here is very corrective in there. It's not the same for all the patterns, especially for, I think, the New Zealand that we're going to watch. It's slightly different. This move is the most corrective. See? Same pattern, but this move is the most corrective. So I can see New Zealand coming here. I can see New Zealand going back for a new high and then coming down. This will all still be correction, just like this was. Go back and watch that short webinar so you will see the step-by-step analysis of how these patterns develop. And the same thing I told you here. The depth of which this come back will tell us when they go back up if they're going to come down. Now, because I've got this is the most corrective structure in the entire pattern, there is a high probability of this coming here, just like the Aussie, but the Aussie could continue to go, whereas this could go back here and then go down. So let's see which one. So I'm not looking so much for a sell in this. I'm looking for the sell in the euro and the sell in the Aussie and the sell in the pound and the sell in the Aussie. That's what we decided this morning. The Aussie and the pound has the best sell setups. This one is not the best one, right? If they're all going to go, the better to be in the Aussie and the pound, because those have patterns that could go. Even if they're all going to go back up, at least those patterns are more clear for the downside. CAD is an amazing one because we got this really good. We've got this correction here, and every time you get that, there is an expanding flat possibility in there, which means this could be the end of this corrective structure, or we're still in that corrective structure if you look at this as a smaller version of a smaller degree of the pattern. So we could get something like this, and we could come back here. Now, these are not tradable one because you might not get a setup. By the time you get a flag here to sell, it's already going to come break the low. Risk to reward is no good. You want this up move. This would be a better trade. And the risk to reward would be good. That would be this one. After which, if this pattern behaves the way I think it is behaving, so far it is. Once we got that sharp one, we knew we were going to make some corrections here. Go back, watch your webinar, I told you about that. And then this is going to come here and then go back up. So we have a move to the upside. If that breaks out and we're wrong about everything, we'll be happy because we're in the buy. When this comes down, we might or might not get a sell. If it goes like this, you will not get any very good sell. You'll get trades, but it will be break even. You want to take this trade up. If this is the start of that bigger daily correction, this is a 500 pip move up. And it might go very sharp with no stop in it. So any buy setup from these lows, we will take. Sell setups, maybe. Depends on how good they are and what the risk to reward is. But anytime it comes back here and we get a buy setup, we will be in that buy setup. I'm pretty sure that, you know, this piece looks like a flat. It might come back here. I'm not really keen about this, but once it comes here, I'll take the buy. Basically. So let's see if we get that. Let's see if it behaves that way. Can this one take off to the upside? It can, but I don't see the pattern as complete that way. We will, when it breaks the top, we'll look for flags and buy, but not as it stands right now. Swiss is in an uptrend, and when they start to trend like this, you don't get deep corrections. So this might be the first impulse of a correction that you're in here, right? You might get a climb here, you probably settle here for a while and then go again. I don't think they're coming back to the new low. Is it possible? Yes, but I don't think they're doing that because I think we're doing this one. Now, I don't know how many of you remember or would have been watching my webinar when I said we don't have anything to match this, but we always get them. If you never heard me talk about that, go back and watch my webinars. That was a sharp move up that doesn't match anything in the pattern except a possible running flat, which is this. Can we come back here? Very likely. Are we coming back now? Well, not necessarily, right? Not necessarily that they're coming back now because we have to see that turning point here, and I can't see that turning point as yet. It's not there. We just have one move. If we figure out that that is the turning point and we start to get a flag here, we'll be selling that. If this comes to the top here, we'll wait for it to come back, maybe sell this as well, and then look for a buy for one more up. Every trade to the upside now will be treated like the last trade because that move could turn at any time. Let's see. Yen, you probably forget about turning. This thing could just go, go, go. This is the only one you can buy whenever you actually want. It's trending up. And do we know this thing is going to go up, right? Do you know that that is going to go back? Go back and watch all the webinars I did. I'll tell you, you're looking for buys, buys, buys. I got to buy. We have a number of one here with very short profit because it was very, very slow on the 1 hour. But once I figure out the slowness in the 1 hour, I had one here all the way to the top that I got taken out with, I think Friday was it? Yep, somewhere in this spot. I took one in here and just left it for a while and I closed it, I think here. And I'm back in the trade right here again. So I just bought it yesterday and leave it because you can, don't worry about this. They move very slow. Really, they move really, really slow. These are 4-hour candles. Each one of them. They went nowhere, but it kept going up and up. Every now and then you'll get a big one, then you get a big one, then you go back to the slowness. You get a big one, and then this could stop here and it could start to do this again. You get a few big ones, and then they do this again, and then they pull back like that. Give you a running flat, and then continue to do the same thing. So Once you see that, you start buying. How far would this go? Well, let me show you in the daily what I think this is going to do. There's a special webinar with this out there. You should see it. You must. So this has about this much more to go. And they don't have to stop. Look at this piece. See? There's not going to be any very big pullback. Look at these pieces. Look at these pieces. Look at the down move and look at the up move. It's just going to continue to go, right? That's it. So you have to know how to trade it. I'm not telling you how to trade this, right? You have to know how to trade it. There's this much to get at least. At least. From that point, two things are possible. They can come back to retest the low again. It is possible they can retest the low and then go back up to this level, after which we're going to go down. That is one possibility. The second one is, guess what? This is the low. And this one just keeps going all the way to the top here. And I mean, keep going. See this? See this piece here? Keep going all the way to the top. Of course, you're going to get one or two pullbacks, maybe one or two deep pullbacks, but it will get to the top here. So when we get here, this is where we will figure out whether they're coming back or whether they're going. By then, the pattern will be clearer to us. So for now, we're just trading that thing up to the top there. And then we'll figure out there is still about 100, how much pips yet to go. There is still about 300 plus pips, maybe about 400, because they're not going to stop here. They'll go a little higher. If you take the 2.7, about 500 pips, with each pullback that you're going to add to it, you could get about 7 more trades, 7, 8 trades to go with that. Each pip trade is going to give you a number of pips, and that's money depending on the size of your account, right? So basically, you can make your plan how you want to trade this. Are there going to be deep pullback like this? Maybe. I see this is a big one, but by the time we get to the top, I don't think they're going to be deep pullback. From there, we will start to see if they're changing direction or not. CAD. There's a short-term sell setup here, and it's a short-term sell setup because I think we're going to be making this running flat before we get one more up. So, by the way, you can get this trade if you understand and you have a strategy how to trade it. Let's see how deep they pull back, and then we'll decide whether it's a smaller flat here or whether it's a bigger one for this one, which means they're going to, by smaller flat means if this thing goes up way to the top there, they'll just come back here and continue to go like these, see? Running flat. But if it stops here and drop, we're likely going to have this pattern, which is it can drop this much and then go back up. That will give you this running flat. I think we're setting it up for this running flat. The way this pattern is going, we're going to have this running flat, the bigger running flat. Then one more up. New Zealand yen, I will update this for you guys as soon as I see there's a trade setup, right? I haven't updated it because there was nothing to update. I told you keep your stop under keep your entry under the low, and they never came back. We saw this yesterday, but I know they were going to go back up. I see all of this, and then I figure out, well, you know what? We're just making a correction in here, which means we're going to get a sharp move down here again. It's a short trade if you know how to trade that. If you don't know how to trade it, stay away from it. It's a very short trade. I don't think that one will break out. You can still keep your entry here with your stop above here. If that gets triggered, I will post you update what to do. Or I'll post you update what I would do if I get triggered because I have an entry order there. Now, this entry order is not what I live with. I'll most likely look for a trade setup from here to this level. This is what I would do today. If I see a perfect setup, I'll update you guys on that. So you have to follow me in the community on my YouTube channel. Go to community and follow me. Make sure you're getting notification from there, because I will post this trade if it's set up as a very good trade with a good risk to reward. I'll post it for you guys, and then we will see if they break out or if they go back up. I'm thinking they will go back up. There's a reason for that. Let's not go into the details, and then we will probably come back here and continue like this before we drop. So this is like the opposite of what CAD dollar is doing. It's a very similar pattern, except CAD dollar is doing it for the upside. This is doing it for the downside. And this thing will continue to go down. It has a yen in it, but it's not going up. That is because of New Zealand, right? We're not going up. We're simply going sideways here. And this sideways could be a very big drop. So once that sideways consolidation is finished, that's when the trade that we're going to stay with, that I'll keep updating for you, will come. I don't think this is the start of it. But there will be a sell setup here today, most likely. So let's keep an eye on it. I'll update you. Yeah, I'll post update in there. It will not be in the general YouTube channel, but you might see it there. Swiss yen. Swiss yen is doing a similar one. We're getting a flat in the middle here. Kind of like this is a sharp move, but it is corrective in nature. So we don't necessarily have to repeat that. If we get a flat here, this flat could totally drop down out of the pattern. Now, once it comes beyond this low, it could repeat a very similar one like this. They don't have to repeat it, but it's possible they can do that and then drop, right? So when we get this sell set up, I would also update, not this one, sorry, I will update the one on the New Zealandian and the New Zealand dollar. But once we get that sell set up, we'll see where that goes. So we're looking for a sell. I'm not looking for a buy here. This looks like a flat, so it might go a little more. It could work its way up a little more, but once I get the sell set up, I'll be keen on that one to this level, and that is within the pattern, or if they break out of the pattern, right? There's a high probability they're going to break out of the pattern. Let's see how it goes. I'm not interested in a buy here, at least not the way it's looking right now. Aussie yen. Aussie yen, we've made a sharp move here. A sharp move here, and we're in a consolidation. So this would probably come back to this level, make a flat like this, go back up, and then drop. See? So you're going to have more consolidation in here before you get the repeat of this one to the downside. And all of that will just be a big daily correction. Similar to this one, maybe bigger than this, but smaller than this, right? See this one? You've got a sharp move. Take the sharp move here. We've got this consolidation up. We broke the top, come back, and then go. That one is in us. Before all of this happened and this up move happened, there is a forecast for that. And there's a webinar on the day. If you're watching me for the first time, you're seeing this webinar for the first time, go back and watch all my webinars. Check this date here. Check this date around August, September, maybe September or November, somewhere there. I did a webinar with this up move coming and all the Aussie pairs. And all the Aussie pairs showing you that up move coming. So right now we're here. This piece is going to come here, go back a little, depends on how high they come. It doesn't matter. We're going to come back here, and then we're going to continue to go. We're making a bigger flat there for upside. Can we trade in that range? Of course. There's a big range to trade in. You don't have to wait. You can get a trade for the sell here. I don't like this. I don't think we should take this. I would let this happen. And then we can trade this up. See, we traded that. We traded this. We can trade this up back to the top here and maybe even all the way to this top. It could be a running flat. They do that, then they come back here and then go. So we'll end up at a running flat. So this trade to the upside would be a good one. The trade to the downside is a small one. It might not get good risk to reward and all of that. By the way, silver is already going for those of my traders who are in silver. Let's see when it gets to the bottom there, what happens. Remember, it could get to the bottom and come back up again. So let's go. Aussie Swiss. So we made this and we made a short one here. And I don't know whether this was before or after the webinar. We thought this would come here and then go back up. But once it stops and you do this, you're making a bigger flat. So there's a series of Aussie trades with this flat in the middle here, right? This 1, 2, 3 here, come back here, go back up there, come back here, and then go. They're making a big flat here for upside. You can trade this upside. Let me use a different color, red. You can trade this upside, you can trade that downside, and then you will get this trade to the upside. Now, is it going to make exactly the pattern I draw there? Not necessarily, but it's going to make something similar to that. Can we trade the downside on this little piece here? Can we trade this piece? Well, very aggressive traders in my trading room do it. We have traders like that who can do that and manage it and understand the pattern. Personally, I don't trade the small ones. I rather wait for the bigger ones, but if I'm in the trading room and everybody is there and they're saying, can we take that trade? Sometimes I take the trade with them just to show that the trade is possible and show how to manage it if you're going to get a break even out of it. Aussie CAD. Okay, so we're at this level. Let's see if this is matching anything. No, that doesn't have anything to go with, so that's a standalone first impulse. Either this starts to correct up like that, or it makes a flag here and you get one more drop. Just one more drop, because very soon it will start to do that to make a big correction in here. Can this go back much lower than that? Not necessarily. Oh, it's possible, but not with this sharp move here. No, we don't have any sharp move there. Let me see the weekly. Not until we break this top. It's not going to go down back until we break this top. So what you're seeing there is a correction. And that correction would give you a small correction like this and then continue to go. Here is a good example of what it could look like. See, correction, go, correction, go. This was the big one. We never had a big one. I don't think this is the start of the big one. It could be. If that is the start of the big one down, which means this big correction, that would be amazing, because from here now you have that big move up to go with. See? So let's see. Go into 1 hour. If it's a correction, we'll sell. Let's take this off. That didn't go anywhere. If you took that trade, it's break even. If this makes a bigger correction here, go back up there, we'll get this trade to the downside. It might be a single impulse before they go back up for the deep correction. But you can take the one trade and then exit it. Aussie, New Zealand, we're in the middle of nowhere. This one is the worst one. Just stay away from it. Let's not waste time in it. I could tell you what the detail is, but it's useless. You're not going to trade it either. Euro, New Zealand. So remember, we made one attempt to buy the Euro, New Zealand. We're looking for that next sharp move up. We made an attempt. Turned out for me a break even. Some people might have grabbed a few pips out of it, but it's useless. It didn't go. We got it from this level. I thought this one was going to go. It didn't go. They actually pulled back. That's okay. We took break even. And now they're doing this. This is strange because that's a running flat for downside. So let's relook at the pattern. When they do that, what you do is you relook at the pattern to see, okay, is it still an up pattern or are we trying to make a down pattern now? So you would relook at the pattern based on what you have. So we'll put this here because this is a separate one of its own. And sorry guys, losing my voice here. And we have this here, right? We broke out of that. This should be the impulse that go, that didn't go. They pull back. This should be the impulse that go, that didn't go. So now we're looking at it and said, what if this is a contracting flat? What if this here? 1 second, guys. I'll have to mute to get my voice back. Yep, sorry about that. The water did the magic. Yes. So what if this here is a contracting flat and that is the top? Then I can see this running flat making sense in that pattern. See how pattern changes and how you relook at it, and then you decide, okay, what is the new pattern I have here now? These things are changing, continuously changing patterns. They're not one, I see this and that's it, that's all the pattern. They're of different nature, different fractal levels and all of that. And that is why wave analysis with precision of pattern is very important. Not just the way Elliott, some people look at Elliott wave, okay, it make an impulse, it's going to make an ABC, and then it's going to make another impulse, and that's it. It's that simple. No, it's not that simple. It's very complex, but you can, here's the thing, you can do it. It's doable. So once this didn't go, what happened? You relook at the pattern and said, what is it? What is this piece telling us? And what is that telling me? Okay, I see this. So if I see this, what it's going to do? It's going to come back here. If it comes back here, can we still go up? Or is it going to come and break the low now? Is this all the correction? Is that all the correction? This one is going to drop. Well, at this point, we don't know that. But here's the good thing. Once this get here, we look for the sell. Look for this sell. And if we get a sell set up here, they will tell us if they're going to go back up or if they're going to continue to go down. We know that the bigger picture is upside. We're expecting one more down first. Let me show you this whole thing. This whole forecast is planned way ahead, right? So we were expecting this sharp one up now. And it's not going that way. It's kind of going in a more complex pattern. You have a flat here, you're making another flat here. And if this comes just here and start to go back up, no problem, we'll get in that trade. We'll get the sell, we'll get out of the sell, and we'll be looking for the buy weight to the top there. And then the next move down. What if this is all you get and they're going down? Well, then we will be in the sell first, which means if it continues to go, it will not take us out when you move your stops. Very likely you might not be taken out. If it's going to go up, it will take you out, and then you start looking for the buy setups. So for now, let's see if this proves what we think it is. I'll take this one out for now, put it at the top there, and I'll take this out from here because what I'm looking for is a running flat. That is this piece. Come on. Okay, let me just draw on it. That would be easier. I'm looking for this running flat here. So this has a little more up there, and then I'll be looking for a sell setup. We know how to trade running flats. We have specific strategy how to trade running flats. Something I can't really share here. Let's go, because I'll have to tell you too much to share here. So this was a sell setup if you took it. Yesterday we saw this and I was like, yeah, you can put your sell setup here for this move down. And that is a trade. So right now you can move your stops into positive. Can it go down more? I think, yeah, we can go down more. But the only thing you'd have to watch is, the only thing you would have to watch now is whether this becomes a flat inside of this move, right? Which means this could go back up there and then come back here for the bigger flat. And then the upside. See? So here's what I would do. I'll move my stop very tight. For those traders in the room, once this starts to pull back downwards, you can move your stop here and leave it. If they're going to go up, we'll look for buy setups. If they come back and make a new low, you'll just follow the stops all the time. So that's a trade. Let's go next one. Euro, let's see what we got. Euro Swiss, Euro Aus. Euro Aus is consolidating. We're expecting the downside. You need a flag. This is a pattern, so you need a flag. We don't have a flag. But if you put it like this, we're getting what the Euro New Zealand is making, which is a possible running flat here. And that means this would come down. So if this comes down, this will all be consolidation. So we're going to get one more like this up. And then downside. So if you're going to look for a buy, let this come back here. Sorry, if you're looking for a sell, let this come here, and then we can sell this. This is only one impulse down, right? Just one impulse down. And after that, we're going to go back up because this would just be a big consolidation, this whole piece. Maybe it's going to even get more consolidated in this piece here before it does that. So let's see, we'll take one trade at a time. There's no buy setup, there's no sell setup at the moment. Once this is finished, there'll be a sell setup here on this one down. Very short trade because it's in the consolidation. Euro yen, stay away from that. We can go into it, but it's useless right now. Time is a factor right now. So let's see, Euro CAD. So Euro CAD, we saw this sell, but I said don't take it because they're at the bottom of a structure, and that means they can tag the bottom and change direction to the upside. And I think that is what we're like looking at. We're looking at this big structure. Let me just show you guys very fast what we're looking at. We're looking at this big structure. You've got one move down, you've got to move up, you've got a corrective structure here, you're going to come back here, you're going to come back here, and then you're going to go. That's simple. Let's go to the 1 hour now. The 1 hour made the impulse up. So if this is a reversal sign, it is good for us because now they're making a running flat here. I think, okay, we'll have to watch this piece. Let me see that piece again. I don't think it's over. This piece is not very aggressive, but you can still put an entry order there with a stop here. If this becomes a running flat, this could be a slow move and then they take off, right? Or this becomes a running flat, they'll come back here like this, right? Well, this one actually, they'll come back there and then go. I don't think we're coming back here. So an entry order above the top here is a good trade. Actually, you can put it slightly above this one since this one is already happening. Take this off. That's the low. Take that off. Take this off. That was the low that they broke here. Breaking lows and turning, right? Remember the importance of the highs and the lows. By the way, somebody sent me a question on YouTube asking me what's the importance of highs and lows again. But like I said, that's a long process. I'll have to teach you all the patterns and which one is important, which one is not, and which one is going to change, which one is not going to change, which is a whole 6 weeks course, just in case you're asking, right? So what you're looking for, we'll keep it above here. And if they tag you slowly like that going, there's a chance you can do this before you go, right? There's a chance we can do that before we go. But it's most likely upside. You have a stop here. That's what I would do. I'll put a stop there and I'll be in that trade to the upside. So once the trading room is closed, we're going to go for this. What I would like it to do right now is I'd like it to come back here first and give me this pattern. And then I'll be in that trade. That would be the best thing, but I'm not sure they will do that because there's a small flat here and they could continue to go with that small flat for a long time. The correct entry would be in the break of this flat or on top of this. That would be the correct entry, but either both of those are gone. So I'll just put it on top of this and leave it. Euro pound, one more drop still is in play. This is going to still drop. These are short trades. You can take them if you want to see, like this one. We saw this running flat. Where did it go? It dropped here. If it tagged you, you're getting a break-even trade because you have 5 hours to take it off. And this is not going back up. So the downside rarely gives you a good trade. I don't know if this is going to give you a good trade. You might get a sell. There's a sell forming here right now. Take it. Let's see how far it goes. Worst case, you can get break-even out of it. The bigger picture is upside because this is the impulse. If this comes and break the low, as a matter of fact, it's already low enough to believe they'll probably do this and then go back up and then more downside. Right, because that would be a running flat once we tag the low. Pangos, it's in correction. I don't think we're going to break out today. We are expecting it to break down downwards first, because this is correcting very slowly to the upside like this. So they'll probably do this, come break this top, and then come back here and then go, because that would be a running flat in the making, right? Let's see. Not much you can trade there, so leave that for now. Pound New Zealand, we tried to get this trade yesterday. It didn't go the way we wanted it. We got out for positive, break even. So we've got this big flat in the middle here, really big corrective structure. You've got 1, you've got 2, you've got 3. We need them to make a top and turn. So we're trying to pick the top. We're trying to see whether we got the top. So yesterday we had this pattern and we thought that was the top. Right? We've got an impulse and a correction. We've got an impulse and a correction. It did go back very much to the top, which was a caution. And we took the trade. And if you took the trader, and you can still be in the trade because your stop is here, or we got out for break even. You could get out here. You could. This is still coming down back here, but it's a corrective structure now. When all of that is finished and all of this is finished, we're still going to make one more high. So this should be a good buy, because if you get a big flat like this, you're probably going to go quite a lot before they come back. It will come back, but they will make a move more up, right? So how high this can go, I don't know. You could get a very sharp move. They come here and then they go back. You could get a move this side. So that's a good buy, right? Before they come back down. On the bigger picture, it will go down. So first you might get that big one. I don't see this anymore as a turning point as yet. That's a flat. Peng Yen, you're going to get a running flat. There's a small sell set up there. Be careful of it. It might just do this and continue to go. Or it might do this and then continue to go. We're looking for one like that, right? So if you take the trade, you'll have to manage it towards break even. Let me go into 1 hour and show you that. So there's a 1 hour sell setup. Very nice. This one might just drop like this and go back up. That will give you a break even trade, right? Or it might drop like this and then go back up, and that will give you a very good profitable trade with this. Which one is it going to be? I don't know. You don't have to know. You just trade and then you manage your trade. If it's a short one, you get break even. If it's the big one, you got the trade you're looking for. You got a perfect running flat, and then you look for upside. You're never going to know which one it's going to be, right? And that's the part of the risk to reward trade that you do. You take the risk and then you see if you get the reward. If you don't get the reward, you just get the hell out of it for break even, as if you can. Or you take the loss. Franc CAD, expecting one more down, then up. Okay, we might be getting this trade today. So this could drop to this level, and I think they're going to break the low. We will break that low. Afterwards, we have to go back up for a sharp one like that. So very likely we will get that sharp one. Rarely they don't make that sharp one. I mean, very, very rarely. Where you see a sharp wave and you don't get that second one. That's like less than 1%. Most times you will get it. They make running flats. So you get that. We got this. We dropped there. We thought this one was going to go up. I actually bought that. Well, you can tell that I got out for break even because it didn't go. It didn't even come back to my stop where it was just here. Got out for break even. We figured this one out yesterday when this was going to drop, that it's going to go back up. And now we saw that pattern. And this is a sell setup for us to this low. After which we will see when we get this trade, stop here, enter, we would see whether this comes here and go. It might not come here. It could still make a flat and go a little higher, right? It could still do this and go a little higher. You have to manage your trade. Say, well, okay, I'll have to get out of this trade if that is happening, and then come back here. This will eventually come here and then go. So every time you get a sell from the top, you should take the trade. Any one of those could be the one that will go. If it doesn't go, you manage it for break even. What if this doesn't come to give me the trade? Instead it do that? Well, great. May do this and give me a sell setup and I'll take it again. Right? So we're looking for that sell. And once we completed that sell, then we would look for the buy setup. Bigger picture is downside, by the way. Those are just small trades. So all sell setups I will take. So if I'm wrong about the pattern and we're not going to get that sharp wave, this thing is going to come back way back to the bottom here. This is the big one. Let me remind you about this pattern so you can go back and watch all my free daily webinars starting from the 18th of January. Right? There was a whole series of them where I was showing you these patterns. 1, 2, 3. I told you this was going to come and tag this top, but they tagged that top. No problem. It is still the same pattern. It just becomes an expanding, a running flat. So you have this one and you have this one. This one is higher than this, so that's a running flat. We're coming back for this one here now. Right, we're coming back here. Because we broke that top, this doesn't have to come back to the low. It can drop short of the low, which means it can come to about this level and go back up like this. This would be another running flat. I don't know. Anybody ever told you that running flats are the most common flats there is in Forex? If nobody told you, you should go find out, because I think it is. Right? And watch my webinar, you will know. So we're looking at this, possibility for this. Go back up there. You get 1, 2, 3. What if this comes and break the low here? Well, all we are getting is another running flat. And as a matter of fact, this time it's going to be an expanding flat because we broke the top. I don't think they'll break the low. So it doesn't matter where they come to, it will still be a running flat because we broke that up. So it's another running flat upside, and then one more down. So we're trying to get this one. But first, there's a series of things that is happening here. And that is this sell, maybe that buy, this one, complete this pattern, and then we're all into that sell. Hopefully, this is the one that will drop to the bottom. Let's see. We're going to trade it and we'll see. That's the thing about day trading. You have to know these patterns very well to understand what it's going to do. Let's see if we get this here today. It's looking interesting. Pound Swiss, we're coming down. We broke the top. Question, is that the big running flat? If that is the case, you want to sell here because this could drop totally. But if it is not, then we're making one here. We're making 1, 2, 3, go back up, come back down big, do this one, and then go. That's a common pattern. It happens very often. So if you're taking this sell, if you're taking this sell, just like the pound CAD, it's a short trade, after which it can go right back up. Just like the pound CAD can go back one more up. Then the big move to the downside, right? Let's go. New Zealand Swiss. All the Swiss trades have this pattern. Some kind of a correction in the middle. You got 1, 2, 3 here. You're coming back here. You're making this one. You have to go back up there. You have to come back down here. You have to go back. There's a lot of up and down in here, right? And then we're going to get this trade before we complete this. Some of these might change, varies on whether I'm showing you all of them as regular flats. All the patterns I just draw, I'm drawing them with the intention that they're all going to be the regular flats. Some will be running flats, some will be contracting flats, so you're not going to get it exactly the way I show you, but you're getting a consolidation in here, which would eventually go back up, right? That big consolidation, it's a big consolidation for upside. Here is a good example. We told you this is a big one for upside. We told you this one is a big consolidation for upside, right? Well, you're making another big consolidation for upside. So you're going to get a lot of consolidations in here. And then you're going to get this, and then you're going to get that, because that will be the upside starting from the bottom. You can trade in this zone. It's a very, very big zone, right? That's how many pips there. The top to the bottom is about, let's go. Yep, 224 pips. You can do day trading in there. You can take a trade out every single day if you get a setup. If you don't have a setup every day, you get one every day after. Some will be break-even trades, some will be very good trades. See, if you took that one was break-even trade because it didn't go. But I don't think we did. We took that because we saw this and we know that this is going to be 1, 2, 3, and it's coming back. So this is telling us this is going to go. Can we take this one if we get it? Yeah, that will give you a bigger trade. If you get a move up and a flag here, you could go for this trade with an entry and a stop here, a 1-to-1, maybe a little more than 1-to-1. Can you take the trade to the downside if you get this trade, just like this one? Can we take that trade down? Yes, if we get a flag here, we can take it down here. We can do this, and then we can trade it up back. If they do this pattern the way I draw it, then perfect. If they do it differently, it's going to be very similar in where you take the trades and how you take them. New Zealand CAD, 4 hour. Okay, so if we can turn from here to go back up, we'll look for buys. If this gives us a flag here or a correction, we'll look for buys, because this could be a correction of its own, or this could be a correction of its own. I think the first one is this one is likelier to happen, and then we'll go up, we'll come back down, and then we'll go, something like that. Let's see. It could be the bigger option as well. If it's a bigger option, we'll probably look at this flat like this, most likely, right? As a contracting flat in there. Let me just take this off so you can see what I'm saying. There are two options. You can look at this here as the contracting flat in here. You can look at this as a 1, 2, 3. You can look at this as a 1, 2, 3. And guess what? If this is turning from this point to go, you want that trade. Let's see if it's turning. So I'll take this out. It's useless right now. And we'll see what is happening in there. Right? Could it be something else? We'll have to look through the whole pattern. Let me see the daily. I haven't looked through the daily for that. Oh, it's possible you could be looking at this one. I wasn't looking at this one. You could be looking at a bigger one here. It's still upside. So you might get one more drop, and then it's still upside. Actually, if that is the bigger one, then it's much better for us, because then this becomes a really big move to the upside, right? All the way to this top, because that would be the big correction. You see this big correction in here? Once they completed that, look at the move down. See, this one was coming from the top. So once we complete this, that move up is going to be really nice. Keep your eyes on it. So it might not be that one as well. That one might be a smaller one standing alone of its own. And then we'll see. There are about 2 or 3 patterns that we can look at there on different degrees. They're all on different degrees. Let's see this piece for the upside. Once we get a buy, we'll take it. It doesn't matter where from where. Once we get that buy, we'll go with it. CAD Swiss. By the way, if you're watching that and you're wondering why we're changing those patterns, that is because you're looking at different degree patterns. Time is running out, but I think I'll spend 2 minutes and do this very fast for you. Here is a square. So not a square exactly. Well, let's put it this way. That's a square. No, I'm not good at drawing squares. I can tell you for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's a square. Is that a square? What if we get this? Is that a square? What if you get this? Is that a square? What if you get this? Well, they might not be squares. Just assume they're squares, right? I'm not good at drawing squares. Is that a square? These are different degrees of squares. That's how corrective structures develop. You could develop with a small one, a 1, 2, 3, and I will tell you, oh, this is a nice 1, 2, 3. We're coming here. We're going to go down. But instead of that, instead of going down, you end up with a 1, 2, 3 here and a 1, 2, 3 here. So you end up with a bigger one. And I will tell you we're going down. And instead of that, you get a 1, 2, 3 here and a 1, 2, 3 there, and you end up with a bigger one. And I'm going to tell you we're going to go down. Eventually, we go down. Right? But each one of these corrections are corrections of different degrees within each other, which is what I was just showing you on the New Zealand CAD, right? The different degrees of corrections you can look at and how you can see which one you're likely going to be looking at. Is it the first one, that is this one? I think that is excluded. Can we look at this recontracting flat and 1, 2, 3 and this one? That might be excluded. If that is excluded, then each one of these are patterns of their own separately. Then you might be looking at this as the bigger one, whereas each one of those would be patterned. They're inside of the bigger pattern. It starts with small ones, but then when you combine them, you get a bigger pattern of a higher degree. Now, if that is complex for you to understand or complicated for you to understand, you need to learn wave analysis the way we teach it. This is what is going to help you understand how these patterns develop, the complex nature of these patterns. You wouldn't understand it unless you do that. So sorry about that. I just had to explain because I know some traders will look at it and say, but he just keeps changing the patterns. I don't do anything to the patterns. I don't change anything. I don't know what patterns they're going to make. I'm not responsible for whatever patterns form there. I have one single job to do. Identify the pattern that is making right now to the best of my ability. Look at the pattern. Tell me what pattern you think is going to happen. Give me the next piece of within that pattern. If it's a smaller one, tell me if you think it's going to be a bigger degree. That's what I do. Can it be a bigger degree pattern? Okay, if it is going to be, then what you expect to happen? And do we have a trade in that? And then you decide you take that trade and then you expect, okay, what could happen next on the higher degree? It's a step-by-step analysis of known patterns. I don't care what the pattern is. And my job is to identify it correctly. If I can identify it correctly, I can take advantage of that. If I can't, well, then no problem. You just wouldn't be in the trade. You'll miss the trade. Right? So this is what we have here. Expecting this. Remember this one. Here's a good one to look at. While we were in here, I said this would come here, make one like this, and then go back up because that is a known pattern as a regular flat. How wrong was I? They actually went and broke the top. So what happened? All they did was change the pattern that I was looking at. I didn't expect that sharp move, but if you look at it, you got this. So we still have to get this to the downside here to make a running flat and then continue to go back up. That is still very likely going to happen, except that I was looking for a regular flat and it turned out to give us a running flat. There was nothing in the chart that told me it was going to make a running flat because this was going very, very slow. This whole piece here was very, very slow. When they make a slow move like that, they tend not to break out of it. They tend to drop. Instead, they went up. Within the same correction, they went up. Now you've got this, and you still have to get this. So we're looking for a sell setup all the way from the top here. Not that we didn't get any buys in there. See, there were buys. This was a buy. Could this just be a simple flat that will come here and then go back up like that? That is possible. This is a sell setup regardless. But can it come all the way here and then go back up? Very likely. Both of those patterns are likely to happen, right? And it doesn't matter which one is going to happen. We're looking for a sell setup from here. It's a very small correction. It's way too small to jump in now. You'll have to be careful. it's likely they will do this and, you know, make a bigger running flat here. They'll end up making a bigger flat before you go. So if you don't know how the flat could develop, if you don't know how you're going to manage it, you have to be careful of whether you're going to trade it, because you have no idea how and where to trade that, right? Let's go. There's a lot more to go, so I'll skip some of these. I'll go through some really fast. And here's what we have. Copper, you can go with the sell setup. We're looking for a sell in it anyways. Probably put a sell here. There's a small flag. If it keeps coming down like this, if they keep doing this, then they'll go back up. So you will end up in a break-even trade, but it's worth taking, because if they're going to drop straight through the bottom, and it could drop straight through the bottom, you'll probably be expecting a very big move to the downside. US oil, okay, so it came down very deep. Take this, that was the buy on this one to the upside. See that flat there? This flat for the buy. Very simple flat. Put an entry, buy that one. Take it off, take your profit off. You should take off. There were more than one trade there. There was over 3 trades there on that one that you take your profit off. Now this one is coming down really deep, and let's see what it could look like. So right now we don't have anything to go with that move. That's a single sharp move to the downside. How many single sharp moves like that we've started to move with? This is one. These are smaller ones. This is a smaller one. This is a smaller one. Well, this one probably is equal to that. So here's the question. When you have one move, can you make a decision? No, but you will. If you get this, that's going to be long-term downside. If you get this, that's going to be coming back here and one more up. Which of those we're going to get today? I have no idea. Can we keep selling that impulse? Can that impulse become a much bigger impulse like this, like this, like this, and then start to do that? Yes, possible. So we look inside of the impulse for flags to sell. See, it's pretty easy. There was a running flat in this impulse. If you saw that, I don't know if my expanding flat, sorry. There's an expanding flat there. If not, you got a flag there. That's a sell setup, right? You can see every flag you get in this impulse after that correction would be sell setups. That impulse could go way, way down to the bottom. This was a sell setup. There were sell setups here, and there were one more sell setups in this one. I think the break of this. So let's see, like this was a buy. Remember I told you there were more than one buy. There was this buy. There was a buy here. This went really, really, really slow. And that was the only buy you had to move your stop and stay with. Exit the trade would be probably somewhere here. You'd probably exit that trade when you figure out it's making another consolidation. So at this point, wait for another flag, sell. If it starts to correct, wait, you can either trade the correction because it's a big correction will be, or you can just ignore the correction, wait for the next impulse down, then look for buy setups. Same with the UK oil. Nat gas, this is going to give you one more down. I don't know if you want to trade it. There's one more sell. Actually, the sell setup here should be a big one because it's a big flat. So they'll probably go down more like this. See this big one? They give you a drop. They give you a drop. They'll probably give you a drop here. It's coming to the low. The idea of selling this is not a good one. The idea of buying it should be a good one. All right, we're coming back to this low. How deep we go into that low, we'll see. I don't think they'll go very deep. I'm still convinced that this is a running flat. I'm still convinced because of all this correction in here that that is a running flat. At some point here, we will start to go back up. And this will become a big running flat. It might even be a big expanding flat. But this is definitely telling me that is what we're looking at. A flat pattern in the making. So at some point here, we're going to get this up move. Either break this low or don't break that low. We're looking for that up move. Selling it here, short trades. Every sell, you just take your profit off. Okay, this one, consolidation, downside, right? You can see they're already starting that downside. You've got a flat in the middle here. You get 1, you get 2, you get 3. If you get a flag on the way down, you see that flag there? Sell it. See this flag for the sell? If you get a flag like that, sell it. It's easy, right? Let's go. What if they consolidate for more up? They will not give you a flag like that. Instead, you will see this, right? You would see this. That will take a while, and if you see that, you're buying, right? So either give you a flag for a sell or they consolidate, you buy. Same here. We made a new high. That's a good sign. If they're going to go up, they will consolidate. They would have gone much up. That's a good sign. They're probably trying to come down. Now, what you can do is very simple. This was showing you the top is broken. We have divergence. If you think it's still going up with an entry above the top, that's what I would do if I think this thing is still going to go up. If I think it's coming down, I'll allow this to come down, make a flag, and sell it back to this low, break that low. This could be an amazing trade here if you get a flag. If they go back up, you can buy above this stop. See, pretty easy. S&P 500. We trade that in our trading room very often. S&P 500, very likely we're coming down back. You have something like this. Things like these are two things. They're either a channel for downside or it's a running flat for upside. There are two different strategies how to trade that. Very long, so I'm going to skip it, right? Just skip that and go on. Most likely, I'll give you my idea, most likely downside. Look for flags, sell it. DAX, way up. One guy said one of the commentators comment when we were looking at these patterns on YouTube. It's just funny. I'm just telling you this because it's funny, not because the trolls bother me, right? So don't think they're bothered. It was funny when I was looking at this. I was like, guys, this is a corrective structure to go up because this was a corrective structure to go up because this was a corrective structure to go up. Right? Remember that? And the guy came and the day I said it's gonna go up, I think we got that drop, which is normal. We saw that as a possible running flat. And he was like, maybe one day you will be right about the upside. And I definitely laughed because I knew he was very, very ignorant of what the chart is doing. It's a flat to go up. I hope he learned something. I know he will be watching this webinar, so I hope you learned something. Look at the patterns and they will tell you what they're planning to do. Not every little move in it should trigger your emotion. Because it's coming down within the same structure, within the same correction. You see this one came down within the same correction. Doesn't mean that, okay, suddenly we're going to go down. It's wrong. It means you have to see what patterns you have in here. What is it doing? Did we recognize that running flat? Is it making a flat there? Can it still go? See, it's pretty easy. So at least he learned something now. Let's go. AU2, I'll skip all of this. There are too many of them. I'll only do Nifty because Nifty, my traders trade. A lot of them trade it. And you're in a consolidation in the middle of an impulse, down impulse. So you get this. You're probably going to do this, and then you're going to make a flat here. So if you get this one will have to go back first. This consolidation will have to go up, come back down, and then go. Right? That would be a big flat in the middle. You have the key to that. You're having this one. So you're making a big flat there for upside. Well, so far, at least on this piece, so far, that's what we're looking at, right? So this is coming down slightly. It's coming down in a flat pattern. I don't see this as, a big deal. Come back here, go back up, come back down, and then that's a good trade. If it does this, that's a very good trade. You understand how to trade it, right? Let's go. Bitcoin. This was the buy setup yesterday. So I told my traders, we're in this thing. And they're doing this, and they're doing this, and they're making a flag and making a flag, and they'll go back up. This should probably come back here, make a running flat. And then this would probably go back up one more, right? If they do this pattern that we're looking at, then this would come back down one more time here to make a bigger flat before you go back up. See? So right now that was a buy, and it's a short-term buy because you're inside of this move down. I don't think they're going to repeat this here. I think we're probably going to come here first. And then this piece would probably give us a flat for upside. Let's see if they do that. They're still in correction right now, right? Can it take off? Possibly. This thing is making some patterns that are not clear. They're not very similar to the patterns I see on Forex and on stocks and all of that. They're similar, but some of them are slightly different. For example, this is one. This is one pattern that's slightly different, varies from what we're doing. We have an impulse. We got 1, 2, 3. That is perfect. This should come back. This piece should come and break the low here before they go. That's a common pattern on Forex, stocks, and everything. But it didn't break the low. They actually went up. So that means I'm looking at that pattern incorrectly. That's all it means. So I've got to look back at that pattern and see where I made a mistake in it. Now let's take this off. I think one of the things I could see that I made was ignoring this piece as being part of this, which makes this a running flat with 1, 2, 3, a very short one, barely tagging the low. That's not the way I would look at it in Forex. You hardly find a pattern behaving like this way with two contracting or two running flats in the middle, very tight, right? Very often you would see the most common one of it, this sharp wave being equivalent with this one, not smaller one like that. So I'm still leaving it open. I'm not taking it off. I want to see whether I see a repeat of this thing again in this pattern. So if I see this again and this move goes and then do that, then I will take in the fact that this is a common pattern. right? That's how you look for patterns. You don't decide what patterns the chart has to make, any specific chart. You look at a specific chart, you study the patterns that it's making, and you said, okay, let's see how often we see this and how often they repeat themselves. If this pattern, like one guy was asking me what pattern, he said, man, maybe you're just, I said, listen, if the chart makes a pattern like this and then do that, every time I see this, I would look for a buy here. It's that simple. I don't care what pattern the chart is making. We're not deciding it's an A, B, C, W, X, Y, Z. It's not about the chart is making a pattern for you. It's about the chart will make any form of pattern. It will make it. That's just the nature of how they behave. Everything goes in some kind of a pattern. That's the fact. You have to just figure out the pattern. If the pattern is like this, if the pattern is like this, if the pattern is like this, it doesn't matter. As long as you can figure out this pattern clearly and understand what it does after that. Does it come down after that, or does it goes up after that in an impulse? If you figure it out and you figure out which direction it behaves, which direction it goes every time, or 90% of the time, or 80% of the time, which direction it goes, when you figure out this, you can take advantage of that. That is all there is about pattern recognition in wave analysis. There is nothing more to it than that. There is no ABC, WXYZ, and all of that. We're just labeling it ABC and WXYZ because it makes us communicate with each other on a common understanding. That's all. People say, well, this chart will make an ABC. No, it's not about the chart making an ABC. Stop behaving, they're so primitive about it. The chart is making a corrective structure that we label ABC, just like we give you a name when you were born, so we can identify you. That's all there is to it. Because one fundamental guy came and said, why you think the chart make ABC? I'm like, dude, it's not making ABC. We don't know. It's making a corrective structure. The corrective structure has a distinctive pattern, just like you have distinctive features. That's why we know it's your father. Your father is your father, not the neighbor is your father, because you have distinctive features. And that's how we identify who your father is. And we can check the genetics of it, and we can tell because the genetics have distinctive features that identifies you. The same thing with the patterns. They have distinctive features that identify each patterns that look alike, and we call them a name, right? We said they're the family of flat patterns. And then we said, this is how they behave. They have behavioral patterns. And then we said, if they behave the next time like this, we're going to get them because we understand it. That is all there is to wave analysis. Nothing more. Don't add your imagination to it. And don't add your ignorance to it. Learn it. Just learn to understand what it's we're talking when we say wave analysis. Don't write me those stupid comments. I delete them. Why you think it's making an ABC? Please, if you want to be a trader and you say something like that, stop. Leave the profession. It's not for you. I know I'm aggressive, but that's exactly what I would say to anyone who says that. Leave it. It's not for you. It's above your understanding. Please, let's go now, right? Sorry about that. XRP, because people write that, and I'm surprised that they want to be traders when you do that. XRP, I'm expecting this to come down. Now, they can make a number of flats here and still do this for a while, so I'll wait for a flag before I trade it. It has to give me a flag before I get into that, but it's coming down first to this level. Either this becomes a flat of its own, this piece 1, 2, 3, and go back up, make a bigger flat, and then drop, or this one just drops straight through, and both of those are possible, right? I will not go into the details of both of those patterns, but they're possible. So buying within this zone is still what I'm planning to do. Now, this will be the first time in my life I'm ever going to be buying cryptos. And there's only one reason why I would buy, and only this one. I'll tell you again, if you're watching this webinar for the first time, I'll show you why only this one I'll put my money in, and I'm willing to lose that money, which means if that thing collapses and I lose that money, I will be willing to accept that loss on this because I have no faith in these things. I'll be honest with you. I don't trade them. I don't have faith, but I think there's an opportunity for me here to get a lot of money if I invest at this level. So I would put X amount of money that I'm willing to lose. If it goes down to zero, great. I'll accept that. But if they do what I think they will do, which means this pattern here will go back up like that and come to the level of about 4, I think they will have to come and break this up. 330, above 330. So if this is the end of the correction, if this piece here is the end of the correction at this level, that is your first impulse up. This is a 1, 2, 3. corrective structure, and we're going to go up from this level here, right? They're going to break that top eventually. See? And it could happen really fast or it could happen slow. But I'm willing to wait on this to go back to that level. And if it gets to $4 and I invested, I don't know, 10, 15, I think that's a good risk to reward. I'm willing to take the risk. Only on this one. And only for that reason. Now, there are many fundamentals following this. People have been warning me about a whole lot of stuff. I do not care. It doesn't matter. The fundamentals is irrelevant to what the chart is doing. It's all baked in. Everything that is happening around these things, including what's happening around Bitcoin and what's happening around stocks, it's all in there. The chart is the nature. The wave analysis is the nature of what is happening to any particular thing. Now, can this collapse? Yes, it can. This correction might be the only thing for it to collapse. I don't know that now, but I'm saying if they repeat what they normally do, what all the other ones are doing, they will come into here and go back to the top. What will be the cause for that to happen? I don't need to know, and I will never, ever know. Nor will you, nor will anybody who told you they know. Maybe the one group of people or the few people who have the power to move this thing might know why. They're never going to tell us. Not now, not after the fact. See? It's that simple. I don't care what the news is saying. It's irrelevant. If you haven't learned that as yet, you should listen to Donald Trump. I've always said, if there's one thing Donald Trump has been telling us that we should have been listening to, is most of the news is fake news. I would not say fake news. That's not the word I would use. I would actually use the words misleading or entertaining. Most of the news are misleading or entertaining. Go back, look at past news, and look at the facts that you know now. They're all either misleading or entertaining you. They're not meant to teach you or to give you the true information. Maybe you have a few common things like, okay, there was a car accident. That information might be true. But I'm talking about other things that are important. They will not tell you the true information. You will never get it. But they will entertain you. So that's the one thing we should probably listen to him, because he had access to some of the true information. So knowing what he knows, he probably looked at what they're saying and said, you know what? This thing is fake. Because he had access to some of the true information, some of the reasons why things are happening, some of the true reasons. He was part there. He was there for some time. So I don't know whether that's why he's saying it or he's just saying it because he likes to say it. I don't know, but that might be the only true thing he's telling us. So listen to it. The news will not tell you what is actually happening. It will entertain you very well. So why would this go up? I have no idea. Would it go up? I also have no idea. I'm just looking at known patterns and said, everyone that has a known pattern like that goes back up. Is this going to be behaving the same way or not? Well, we will see. Maybe this is one of the 10% that doesn't do that. So you will follow that one. Let's go. ETH. It's at the top. We can expect it to come back down. Do we have a sell setup? Let's go see. Put it in the 4-hour. You kind of have a sell setup, but it's going back really high. It's already at the top here. These are small buy setups. They can break the top, and if they break the top, they'll probably come here and go back up. That's all. So it's still in a consolidation. This also is getting the same thing. You can see a running flat forming right now here. 1, 2, 3. Come back here, one more up. We're still in consolidation in that impulse, so we'll probably come down after that, right? One more up and then down. This one somebody gave me, and it's kind of consolidating here for a while. See? It's kind of going like this. And if they stay here for a while, they'll probably drop. Even if they make one more drop like that. So the longer they stayed in that sideways move, the faster you can expect a drop to come. Right? So, okay, guys, I think that's about it. I will just stop it there. It's a very long webinar. I know I went off some time in it, but that's okay. That's how I do my webinars. If you don't like them, well, nothing I can do about that. It's educational. This is for educational purpose. And most times when I go off on that is an answer to a question that somebody sent. Now, if one trader sent me, there are about 1,000 traders out there who have the same idea, who are thinking the same way. He heard it somewhere in some webinar that somebody told him about the chart is not supposed to make ABC, and he got that idea without questioning it and without learning, repeating it like a parrot. Why is your chart making ABCs or WXYs? Learn to think. Ask questions. That's how you're going to learn. So I'll leave you with that Thought of the day. Ask questions. Question everything you hear. Enjoy your day. Have a good trading day. Have a good trading week. I would post this out on YouTube for a midweek update. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. I would see my traders in the trading room right now.